You mentioned Dr. Schuchts about divorce earlier, and in your life, the trauma of divorce led to you going on this amazing journey and building the center and building your practice, writing the books that you've written. It's incredible how God used a trauma to ultimately bring you to do so much good for other people. There's a popular cultural narrative today that divorce is not a big deal, that it actually can be
Yeah.
better for the kids to divorce if the parents are fighting or they don't really like each other. And I'm not talking about extreme situations of abuse. So I'm going to set that aside. If there's like abuse in the home where there's physical violence, where there's, emotional terrorizing happening, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about we fell out of love, we're incompatible, there's an affair, those cases, which are the majority of cases
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
What is your
Those are the
response to
majority.
that?
Yeah. Let me put it this way back in terms of the child's nature. So in the scripture, it talks about the two shall become one flesh, right? And that relationship between mother and father, that sexual intimacy, fully becomes one flesh when a child is born. When a child's conceived, then a child's born. But it's not just a physical reality. It's not just that the child carries both parents' DNA. It's the child carries both parents' affection and nurture and heart. And so when parents even begin to fight and the child feels the tension in the home, that child feels a tearing of their heart. And when a parent's divorce and that bond between mother and father is broken, the child actually gets a broken heart. Their heart is ripped apart. And so many of the early studies on divorce were looking at things like sports performance and school performance and intellectual IQ and all those things. And those aren't the things that are affected. What's affected is the capacity to trust, the capacity to relate at a heart level, the capacity to give yourself emotionally to another. And so many children of divorce are wounded in those ways. And if they don't go through a healing process, they stay stuck in that way. I was sharing about my own story. It was 13 years before I began to see the effects of that in my relationship with my wife. We had things that we were dealing with, but it was largely the unhealed pain of my divorce, my parents' divorce, that led me to wall off and protect my heart whenever tension came, whenever anxiety came. And it wasn't until I entered into the deeper trauma of the abandonment and betrayal and the healing of that. And again, that's an ongoing healing, but the substantive healing of that, could I then open my heart again and trust? And that's how children, so many of my brothers and sisters took a long time to get married because they had a hard time trusting marriage. It's also interesting that my mom had 7 brothers and sisters, and 6 of the 7 in the 70s and 80s got divorced after my parents did. And so there's also this effect, not only in the child's life, but in the siblings and the generations, because marriage is a bond with the whole family. And when that bond is broken with the family, it has a shattering effect, not just for the children and the spouses, but for the brothers and sisters and the extended family. It breaks the fabric of relational trust.